Awesome. Good morning, everyone. It's Zara back again with the book study for the book The Vortex by Abraham Hicks, one of my absolute favorite books. All right, so we are starting today. We left off at the end of the discussion on page 88. So today we are beginning on page 89. The heading on page 89 that we are studying is called Nothing is More Important Than Feeling Good. And the subject that we are discussing just now is relationships. And when I say relationships, intimate relationships is what we are talking about just now. All right. Hi, Tamika. Good to see you, sweetheart. Heather, good to see you. Awesome. I can see numbers, so I know there's other people on the call, but I can't see the names. So if you drop me a comment, I will be able to tell who's there. And if you want to attend on Zoom, you can grab the Zoom link from the events page. I think it's in the description. All right. So page 89, nothing is more important than feeling good. And this is like, it's structured like a Q&A between Jerry and Abraham. So I'm not sure if you have the physical book, but we are reading from page 89, and I say reading, but we're not reading. Hi, Yolanda, good to see you. We're not actually reading the book, we are discussing the book. And I will read from the book from time to time. So I'm going to read the question Jerry is asking Abraham. So Jerry says, and so what would you say to young people who are just out of school, beginning their lives, seeking their first mate or between mates? How would you guide them regarding their relationships? All right. So then Abraham is responding. Hang on, guys, 1 second. Somebody's asking me for the link. There we go. Abraham says, well, there are a couple of things, a few points that Abraham is offering here. So Abraham says the first thing we would remind them is that nothing is more important than feeling good. Hi, Lakshmi. Oh, you could not join Zoom. Hang on 1 second. Let me grab the Zoom link for you. 1 second. Thank you for letting me know, Lakshmi. Hang on 1 second. I'll just grab the link and I'll post it. All right, so I'm just doing that. Where's my Facebook tab? Here we go. So as we know, it's all about feeling good, isn't it? I think everything boils down to that, how to feel good. And so when we're looking for an intimate relationship, it is also, Lakshmi, I've posted the Zoom link in the comments under the live call. All right. Everything is about feeling good. It doesn't matter whether it's a relationship that you want, or a pile of money, or a job, or a house. It doesn't matter what you want. It always boils down to feeling good. So how do we feel good? And how do we know that we are not feeling good? You know, one of the things that I found in and this was my own experience as well with law of attraction, is that a lot of times we think that we are feeling good. But if you think that you're feeling good and the results that you want are not coming, then that means that you're not really feeling as good as you should be. Right? So, oops. if you, and so this is what I teach in my programs, in the Unicorn Club with the 40-day workout, which, by the way, we are starting a new 40-day cycle on Monday. Sometimes people come to me and they say, Zara, I was feeling good, and then this thing happened that I didn't want. How can it be that I was feeling good and then something happened that I didn't want? And the answer to that is, sweetheart, your definition of what feels good is warped. And that happens because I was someone. It happened to me. That's why I know. The thing is, when you have not had good things happen to you in life for a very long time, you sort of kind of lose touch with what really feels good. And so my answer was, and always is that you think you're feeling good, but you're obviously not high enough on the emotional scale for things to start changing, or you're going there but not spending enough time there. So there's no momentum. Hang on, guys. Lakshmi, I just saw your comment. Hang on 1 second. Let me try that again. All right, hopefully this time it will work. Lakshmi, I've started.
Recording in progress.
There we go. I've started the Zoom room again. So as I was saying, the problem a lot of times is that people don't understand what it means to feel good. And the answer, there's just one answer, folks. And the answer is, if you're not getting what you want, you're not feeling as good as you should. You don't have, either you're not staying there. Maybe you go there sometime during your day. Maybe you see a beautiful flower and for a few minutes you go up the emotional scale. But then you must either go off on autopilot and you're not really aware of where you're going in your thoughts because you're not spending enough time high on the emotional scale. If you were spending enough time high on the emotional scale, there is no way that things would not start happening in accordance with how you're feeling. It's a law. It's law of attraction. You cannot debate the fact that you're feeling good and nothing is happening to confirm that, because it is law. If you were feeling good, then something would happen to show you where you are on the emotional scale. So you just look at the absence of your manifestation and you say, oh, I guess I thought I was feeling good, but I guess I'm not spending enough time there. I guess I'm not really high up on the emotional scale because my results are not changing. And so that's how you know whether or not you're high on the emotional scale. Simple. It's really simple. Our manifestations are indicators. Our manifestations are a byproduct of how good a job we are doing of staying high on the emotional scale. All right. So moving along. So Abraham says, look for things. Set your intention. What is an intention? It's a goal. And we can have manifestational goals and we can have feeling goals, emotional goals. I want to feel this way. And I can tell you that the power of goal setting comes from having both. Having a feeling goal and a manifestation goal. That's when we're really, really powerful. So set an intention, Abraham says on page 89. Setting of an intention to find good feeling subjects to focus upon. Just look for things that feel good. Even little things. It does not have to be big things. little things that feel good will add up and give you momentum, good feeling momentum. And momentum is what brings about manifestation. If you go up the emotional scale and you stay there for a few seconds and then you go back to your usual place on the emotional scale, you're not developing momentum. Momentum comes from staying there for longer. And when you stay there most of the time, and then if you dip, it doesn't matter. The dip doesn't matter if you spend most of your time up high. But if you spend most of your time low down, and sometimes you go up the emotional scale, then you don't have momentum. And because you don't have momentum, then the thing that you want cannot happen. All right. So then Abraham is giving examples. Abraham is giving examples, and I can tell you I actually followed this. I followed what Abraham is teaching here, and I manifested a beautiful relationship within 30 days. It works. Okay. So if you observe something unpleasant happening in a relationship, you've got to clean it up and not absorb it, not make it part of your thinking. Now, if you grew up in an atmosphere where your parents were always bickering with each other, can you imagine how much momentum you've collected of relationships not working? If you didn't understand law of attraction, if you were focusing on those unwanted things happening around you, and you were not being able to give it up, you were not being able to say, okay, it's not important enough, I'm just going to let it go. If you weren't able to do that, then you created a lot of negative emotional baggage by just observing your parents fighting with each other. And then that negative vibration about relationships, not just a negative vibration. Where's the negative vibration coming from? It's coming from beliefs. So now you have, if a child observing his or her parents fight all the time is developing a belief that people fight. People who care about each other also fight with each other and fight a lot. Well, then that relationship is not conducive to creating happy beliefs in you about relationships. So if you grew up in that atmosphere, that's what you have absorbed, and you need to let go. You need to say things like, that is not about me. It was about my parents. And when you understand the fact that everyone is creating their own reality, your parents created that reality. I was once coaching a girl, and she was having relationship issues in the sense that she was not able to find suitable match for herself. And I said to her, I started, as we were talking, I discovered that her mother had been in an abusive relationship and that her father had abandoned the family. So I said to her, as long as you keep hanging on to that, to the fact that, and she would say things like, I can never forgive my father for having raised his hand on my mother. And what I wanted to explain to her was, sweetheart, if you keep hanging on to that and you don't let that go and you can't find a way to tell yourself, I'm not asking you to say that wasn't real or that should not have happened. Yes, it was real. Yes, it happened. It is reality. What I do want you to understand is that your mother and your father co-created that abuse. He doled it out. She asked for it. She didn't ask for it because of her behavior. She asked for it because of her vibration. and she never changed her vibration. In the end, they parted and he left. He left her with 2 children. Well, unless you are able to let that go, you are making that history of your parents part of the mix of you creating a relationship for yourself. And her track record, her journey with relationships reflected it, because her first relationship turned out to work that way. Her second relationship turned out to work that way. And when I met her, she was perpetually saying, why do I meet people who are either married or in a committed relationship who want to have a fling with me? They're not serious about having a relationship with me. And I wanted to point out to her, sweetheart, you've got negative beliefs about relationships that you need to clean up first before you go looking for a relationship, because otherwise you're just going to create more of the same. And that is not helpful. That's not helpful at all. In fact, it's very painful. Hi, Alec. Good to see you. All right. So what we have to do is, if we have observed things that are negative in the past, what we need to do is we need to say it was about those people. They created it. They created it because of their vibration. I don't have to create it, and certainly everyone does not create that way. But if you keep calling it unjust, you see, it's not unjust. It is not unjust at all. It's not unjust because law of attraction is responding with precision to the vibration that you're sending out. It's not nice. It's not deserved. But it is absolutely just, because there is justice in the way the law of attraction responds. Think fearful thoughts and you will bring events into your life that will magnify your fear. And that's what happened probably to her mother. She must not have been on a high vibration. So you've got to let that go. You've got to say, my mother created because of her vibration. It is not at all necessary that that kind of relationship is out there waiting to get me. Now, her attitude going into relationships was, what if this is someone who is like my father? And so she had a checklist of things that she was observing about her dates to ensure that they were not like her father. But where was her focus all the time? On all the things that were negative about her father. So who do you think was going to show up in her life? People who were exactly like her father. Or people who were on the same vibration of fear. So you see, you cannot observe injustice without bringing it into your life. The other day, someone wrote me a letter and she said that she had been listening to some of my videos and she was very concerned because she had been in the habit of watching real crime shows, because there are so many these days. There is real crime on YouTube. There's real crime on podcasts. I know because my daughter was listening to some of this stuff. And so this girl wrote to me and she said, I'm afraid now that I'm bringing this into my life. And my answer to her was, if you just let it go now and you don't make it real, it's about feeling. If you don't feel the feeling. So what was happening with this girl who was watching crime shows? She was feeling for the victims. What was happening with the girl that I coached who was looking for a relationship? She was feeling for her mother. 30 years later, she was in her mid-30s when I met her and started coaching her. 30 years later, she was feeling for her mother. Well, if you do that, then that feeling is resulting in a vibration that is going to bring you results that match the vibration that you were sending out. And so my whole focus of my coaching with her was, sweetheart, you've got to give it up. Oh, you mean You mean my mother is responsible? Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, yes. Your mother is responsible for her creation. And then she just threw her hands up and said, there's no way in the world that I'm going to accept that. All right then. I can't help you. If you're not willing to understand how the law of attraction works, if you're telling me that law of attraction was not working for your mother, it works the same way for everyone in every single situation. It has no favorites. It is exact in what it brings to you. Did your mother deserve it? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. But she did create it. She didn't deserve it. She didn't know any better. She did create it. I created it. I had to own up to the fact that I created the abuse that happened in my life. And I started with saying that if you had parents who fought with each other all the time, then you are, that's your picture of a relationship. That was my picture of a relationship. So guess what? I created the abuse that came to me. I had to own up to the fact that I created the abuse. Did I want the abuse? No. Did I deserve the abuse? No. I did not deserve my husband strangling me. I did not deserve that. So, I know what I'm talking. I had to accept that I created that reality so that I would be able to clean it up and leave it behind and move forward from there. Unless you accept how law of attraction works, you cannot use it to create a better reality for yourself. So that's what Abraham is talking about over here on page 89. Abraham is saying, if you are in the vicinity of overhearing something, a negative conversation of an unhappy couple, move away from it. And remind yourself that it's something that the two of them are creating, does not have to happen to everyone else in the world. Because if you listen to it, you will start feeling bad. And if you start feeling bad, you will go down the emotional scale and you will include all of that in your mix. And that does not serve you. It is not helpful for you. It doesn't serve anyone. Hi, David. Good to see you. All right. So then the next point, we're moving on to page 90. Abraham says, we would remind them that creating occurs from the inside out, which is another way of saying nobody's doing anything to you. You are creating it. The thoughts that you think and the way that you feel is what brings you the manifestations that are happening in your life and around you. So you've got to change how you're feeling on the inside first without expecting the outside to change. This is another point on which people get stuck. It's like, I'm feeling good. Why isn't anything changing? Well, because there's a buffer of time, what Abraham calls a buffer of time. Why is there a buffer of time? Because it takes time for momentum to build up. Nowadays, we have automobiles that go from 0 to 60 in like a few seconds, right? So what is happening? They are able to create momentum, acceleration, faster. That's what we are talking about here. If you're someone who is used to being positive, then you can go from 0 to 60 on positive momentum really quickly. But if you're someone who is not used to being on the higher end of the emotional scale, it's going to take you some time to create positive momentum. Things outside of us start changing when we have positive momentum. Momentum is what results in manifestation. So in the beginning, you keep changing the inside and you keep working on the inside. You keep working on your thoughts. Keep working on how you're feeling, and you keep thinking thoughts intentionally that feel good, and nothing outside of you will change. And then suddenly you'll have enough momentum, and now the outside will start changing. But soon as, let's say you sit down, you do some journaling, you do some meditation, you spend some time in appreciation, and then you come out, you say to yourself, oh, I'm feeling really good. So, I'm feeling pretty good. Where's my stuff? Soon as you look for your stuff, you notice the absence of your stuff, and that takes you right down the emotional scale. That is what attachment to the outcome is all about. That's attachment to the outcome. And so do the work without looking for results, and then the results will come. Then the next point Abraham is talking about is, we would encourage a time of focusing upon what is wanted before jumping into any action. And again, that's about momentum. Don't go take action unless you have spent enough time high on the emotional scale to create considerable positive momentum. And how do you know if you've created considerable positive momentum? In this case, we're talking about relationships. Well, the relationship that you wanted hasn't walked into your life yet, but the parking spaces are coming, the green lights are coming, the free coffees are coming, the unexpected gifts from people are coming. That is telling you something. It's telling you that you're heading in the right direction. The little good things that start happening tell you that you're heading in the right direction. So you just congratulate yourself. You milk it. Those are the words Abraham uses. Milk it. Milk the opportunity. Ooh, something nice just happened. I'm heading in the right direction. I'll get there. Right? Good things are happening for me. I feel good. That's all. But don't look for in the sense that don't jump into taking action unless you have some positive momentum. Okay. Now, the one thing I want to explain about action is that action is a really very good thing. We are not saying, Law of Attraction does not teach, Abraham does not teach that you should not take action. All we are saying here is that the effort required in your action will be way less if you are more aligned, and the results that your action will produce will be far superior if you are more aligned. That's all. If you were low on the emotional scale and you work, you will get there as well. You will get there. But it will just take longer and be harder and not as much fun, and the results will not be as amazing as they could be if you were doing it from a high place on the emotional scale. That's all. So, what do you want? You can take and the other thing is, if you take action from a place that's low on the emotional scale and then you end up not getting what you want, the danger is that the disappointment of that will take you further down the emotional scale. So let's say that, and it's okay that it takes you down the emotional scale, because it will just tell you how much more work you need to do. But let me give you an example in the context of relationships. So let's say that someone has been doing a lot of work on themselves and their life in general, And now they think that they're ready for dating. So they go out on a date, and it doesn't work out the way they wanted it to. But they had to do it in order to find out where they were on the emotional scale. You see? So, but now there's a danger because it can go two ways. This person who went out on a date to test the waters can come back from the date that didn't go well and say, I guess I haven't done enough work. I guess there's a lot more work to be done because this was less than satisfying. I think I acted too soon. I should have waited a little more. I should have done some more work. Or this person would say, has the opportunity to say, see, I should never have tried. Things never work out for me. It's useless. There are no nice guys out there. And withdrawn into their shell. So which decision you make? This morning in the Unlimited 365 group, and they're both blending together for me just now, and the 40-day workbook group, we were talking about the power of decision making. Every thought is an opportunity for making a new decision. And as I was saying in the group, if an average person thinks 57,000 thoughts in a day, then we have 57,000 opportunities for changing the way we think in a day. And the minute you change the way you are thinking, the law of attraction starts responding to you in a different way. As soon as you change, law of attraction changes the way it responds to you immediately. All right, so that is what action is all about. You've got to give it enough time to do enough work before you go take action. And then when you do go take action, before you go take that action, tell yourself, I'm not going to take this seriously. So in this example that I was giving you, where this person has a choice, they're going on a date, when they come back and the date was unsatisfactory, they have a choice. But before they went on that date, one of the things they could have done was to pre-pave and say, if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, that's fine, because it'll just tell me that I've got more work to do. And even before they go, they would now have they would have pre-paved their emotions to be okay with either way. And so now, even if it wasn't exactly what they wanted, they wouldn't feel as bad, and they'll be able to go back up the emotional scale a lot faster than they would otherwise. So Abraham is saying, here's what we would also advise them. As you move through your day, stop often and restate to yourself your intention to feel good. So keep reminding yourself throughout the day that your intention is to feel good. And you know what? The morning pre-paving that we do in the 40-day workout is the best. If you just keep repeating the pre-paving during the day, you will keep resetting yourself emotionally. You will keep reminding yourself that the objective is just to feel good. And if you keep reminding yourself that the objective is just to feel good, you have much higher chances of staying positive. Hi Sharon, good to see you. All right, so then that's the first thing. The second thing is, let your desire to feel good be the dominant intention that is present no matter what else is occurring. Forget about what else is occurring. Just let that be dominant. Then number 3, look to your relationships with others as a way of enhancing the alignment you have already achieved, but not as a means of accomplishing the alignment. Don't use people as an excuse to either feel good or, in the other direction, as an excuse not to feel good. But instead, come together with people when you're already feeling good. Because whatever vibration you're on will become magnified. All right, so independently by your own focus with source, reach the consistent place of loving yourself. Do not ask others to love you first. They cannot. And that's really important, because that's what self-worth is all about. Don't ask other people to love you first. When you love yourself, everyone will respond to you with love. So then Abraham says, you cannot, these words, I've always loved these words. They're some of my favorite words that really help me to understand the role of action. You cannot muster enough action to compensate for misaligned thought. Misaligned thought. You cannot, because it takes a lot more effort. But action that is inspired from aligned thought is always pleasurable action and does not require effort. All right, next. We are on page 91. This is a fun one. All right, so Jerry is asking Abraham a new question. I'll read out the question to you. It's a really fun question. So Jerry says, okay, so what would you say about a woman who seems to feel good about herself, who continues to express her desire for a mate, but who disqualifies them one by one as the parade of men moves through her experience? Abraham says, her desire for a mate keeps the men coming, but her belief in bad relationships causes her to push them away. And her attention to unwanted characteristics makes it impossible for the characteristics that she desires to come to her. Really, really simple. Right? So in that one paragraph, we have the complete explanation of why some people keep dating, and they're not finding what they really want. Is because there is a split of vibration going on. They want a relationship, so the interest shows up. But even though they want the relationship, they are disqualifying people, because instead of having a list of things that they want to see in a person, they have a list of things that they don't want to see in the person. I don't remember if it was last time or was it in this group that I said this, but I once had a client that I was coaching, and she had a list of things that she was noticing in the men that she went out with. And she would disqualify them if they didn't open the car door for her, or if they didn't open the restaurant door for her, they didn't pull out the chair for her, and they didn't offer to pay the bill. They were disqualified. That's it. Those were her criteria. So she was looking for ways to disqualify them instead of looking for ways to approve of them. Right? And that's exactly what Abraham is saying over here. Finding lack in others is not the path to liking what you see in yourself. And the one who is critical of others really doesn't like themselves. So when you are critical of other people, that really is an indication that you don't like yourself either. Maybe for different reasons, but the vibration is the same. Because it's not about subject, it's about vibration. You can have a negative vibration on a subject and it will affect other subjects in your life. All right, so that's basically what Abraham is saying there. And then they say the appearance of a superior attitude you sometimes see, which causes you to think that people really like themselves, is often their way of covering up insecurity or lack of alignment. I remember when I was very young, I had this sudden epiphany. I think I was about maybe 9 or 10 years old. My parents had moved to Iran, and we went for school admissions. And we went to the American school, and we were greeted by this woman who was really big. She was really, really big. And she was over the top exuberant. Like, it was as if she knew me and I was her long lost friend. But even as a 10-year-old, I came away from that meeting thinking, what a sad woman. And she was, oh my God, how are you? I'm so happy to see you. And my internal response at age 10 was, no, you're not. You're a very sad person. And I remembered that. I remembered that because her outward action was so different from the vibration that I was receiving from her. And you can see that in people. You can see that in people. If you choose to see it, you can see that in people. So sometimes, so I discovered from there, I started noticing people, how they were behaving and the vibration that I was getting from them. And I discovered that often people's actions cover up how they're feeling. What they're showing is often the opposite of what they're feeling. To the extent that I also remember noticing that there were times when my parents were acting like they were angry, but there was no anger in their vibration. They just wanted me to think they were really angry with me. How many people have experienced that with their parent or someone that they know, right? Yeah. So you see, a lot of times people will put up an act to hide the very thing that they are trying to show you that they have. And they don't really have it. It's what these days we call the... oh my God, there's a term for it nowadays. I forget what it is. It's not important enough. Okay. So when you really like yourself and you're in harmony with the source within you, and when that is the case, your appreciation of others flows abundantly. You're not critical. You don't criticize them. Your appreciation of them flows from you. And when that is the case, wonderful things will happen. Right? So, in the end, that's what alignment is. And on page 92, at the end of this section, Abraham says that when you come together with someone who is low on the emotional scale, and you are low on the emotional scale, you enhance and perpetuate each other's imbalance, emotional imbalance. Whereas when you're high on the emotional scale and you come together with another person who is also high on the emotional scale, then you perpetuate that. So what Abraham is recommending to us on page 92, the heading is Relationships and the List of Positive Aspects process, is to write the positive aspects of the people in your life. So Abraham, and you know, I've actually done this process many times over. It's not something I do on a regular daily basis, but from time to time, I will do this process, which is, today I'm just going to appreciate one person. And I remember a couple of days ago we were talking about this, I think in the 40-day work out that that appreciation when you go deep is much better than when you go wide, right? So pick one person and then just write a whole page of appreciation for that one person. That is a way of generating a lot of momentum. And that's what this process is. The list of positive aspects is also mentioned in the Ask and It Is Given book. And I think I have a very detailed video about it in the playlist for the book study that we did. We've done 2 book studies on the book Ask and It Is Given, and one of those book studies is on my YouTube channel in a playlist for that book. So if you're interested in going deep into finding out more how that process works, you can go listen to it. But really, I will tell you, it's simple. Put the name of the person on top. If you want, you can bring a picture, but then just write your appreciation for that person. And the way I like to do it is because I've noticed that I can make my appreciation go a lot deeper if I expand the exercise. So when I'm teaching the exercise, I like to say to people, well, use different headings. What do you like about this person's appearance? Number 1. What do you like about their personality? Number 2. What do you like about your relationship with them? Number 3. So if you divide it, you will see that you will go a lot deeper. And number 4 is, what are the skills and the way that person behaves, that person's behavior, skills and achievements that you appreciate. So those are the 4 things. So if you divide your appreciation for a person under those 4 categories, you will go really deep into your appreciation. Because I was noticing when Abraham suggested this process and I picked it up and I started doing it, I noticed that I was only able to write maybe a couple of sentences about people. I wasn't really going deep. So then I expanded the exercise so that I can get more out of it, because the exercise is all about generating momentum. That's the objective. Generate momentum of appreciation. And so I find that when you do 4 different aspects of the person, you get a lot more out of it. For example, I will say things like appearance. I'll say, oh, I love their hair or their eyes or, whatever. And then personality, I'll say how kind they are, how generous they are, things that have to do with the personality. When I appreciate their skills, is what I'll say is, oh, I love how they paint, or, I love that they taught themselves to play the guitar when they were in their 50s, or, I love that. And then my relationship with them. I really love the fact that they're always there for me. They show up for me. I love the fact that when we're talking to each other, we have such a good time. So that's the relationship piece. So you see, when you divide it into these 4 categories, you're going to come up with a lot more material to talk about a person than if you just say positive aspects and then you start talking. I don't know about you, maybe you're different, but I challenged myself to improve my what I could do with that exercise by dividing it up. All right, we are almost at the end of our time together, but I think we have enough time there to look after the next heading. So Abraham says, in ending on page 93, the first paragraph there on top of the page, it says, not only does the power of your thought determine which people make their way into your life, but the power of your thought determines how they behave once they get there. And that's the important thing. I remember when I heard this from Abraham in one of the Q&As on YouTube. Abraham gave the example of a child who is always throwing a tantrum when they are with one grandparent or parent but not the other. And Abraham said that it's the person who is drawing the behavior out of the child. The child is responding to the vibration of the person who is dealing with them, and that's why the child's behavior is different with these people. Same child, different behavior. And you've seen this. I mean, I've seen this. Child throws a tantrum. They just had a fight with a friend or a sibling, and they have this toy and they're not sharing. And no matter how much the mother says, share the toy, they're not sharing. Or father for that matter, doesn't matter which parent. And then someone else comes along that the child really loves and adores and has no negative vibration coming from this person. And this person comes and says, sweetheart, will you please share this toy? And the child says, yes, and hands it over. Has that ever happened? Have you seen that happen? I've seen that happen. Yeah, I've seen that happen. They don't listen to one person, but someone else asks the same question and the child responds. We draw the behavior out of the people who are around us. Same people, different behavior, based on how you are what you're attracting from them. Let me just check Facebook for comments. Okay, I don't see any comments, but I do see a couple of people there. Okay, so last heading for today, by virtue of my vibration, I am attracting. That's the heading. Jerry says, in my early experience, I remember observing a common pattern where it seemed like most people were not interested in having a relationship with the people who wanted to have a relationship with them. Isn't that a common theme in high school? Right? That's a very common theme in high school. It's the boy who is going after this girl and she doesn't want him, and then the girl is going after a boy and he doesn't want her. Oh my God, I've seen this over and over again. So Jerry says, it seems like every boy was interested in a girl who didn't want him, and every girl wanted to be with a boy who didn't want to be with her. And then Abraham responds, well, the best part about your observation is that the contrast of their experiences was helping them to more clearly identify what it was that they each did want. This rather common scenario occurs because most people believe that in their search for the perfect mate, they must root out the imperfections. They believe that by identifying what they do not want and then keeping a list of those unwanted characteristics, they will arrive at their desired destination of the perfect mate. But law of attraction does not allow that. When the list of what you do not want in a mate is the dominant vibration that you are offering regarding mating, the law of attraction will bring you a continuing string of unwanted partners. And that brings me back to that girl that I was telling you about, who had this list of criteria that when she went on a date, it was like check, 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 check. And then I had this other girl who... Girls can be really interesting to coach. So I had this other girl who went out with a guy, and he opened the door of the car for her and offered his hand because the curb was uneven. He offered his hand so she wouldn't stumble. And even though he was horrible to her, she kept going back to, yeah, but he opened the door of the car. So he must be the right guy for me. It was like that was a sign for her that this is the right guy. No matter what he does after that, doesn't matter. So it's interesting how people respond in different situations. Okay. So that's what Abraham is saying, is that your perspective changes everything, right? It's perspective. What are you going to focus on? The things that you don't want or the things that you want? And that is going to create the difference in what happens in your life. And Abraham says that where we started from actually an hour ago, that all the relationships that you have experienced yourself, as well as the ones that you have observed, contribute towards how your life works out and the vibrational version of your perfect mate. Because the universe is listening to every thought that you think. Every single thought counts. So Abraham says that when we explain that the fastest way to getting to the relationship you really want is by finding appreciation right where you stand, people often resist because they believe that if they say nice things about where they are, somehow they will get stuck right where they are. So if I start appreciating the partner that I have, and I've already decided that I don't want this relationship anymore, but if I start appreciating this partner, then I'll get stuck with this partner. And Abraham is saying that's not true. Because if that partner's vibration does not match you anymore, then they will disappear, or they will become who you want them to be, because your vibration has changed. So let me explain. I need another pen. Here. Okay. All right. So let's say that things are not going well in a relationship. So both people in the relationship are low over here, somewhere in anger. They're angry or irritated with each other all the time. And then you start doing the emotional vibrational work, and slowly you start going up the emotional scale. Now you end up over here in a place of hope. Well, if you're in a place of hope and this person that you're with is still in a place of anger, you cannot play with them anymore because you're in two different emotional places on the emotional scale. So what has to happen is that this person will automatically disappear from your life. So the best way to get rid of someone is to not match their vibration. Right? And we don't want to match their vibration by us going lower down, because that's just going to bring us a whole other can of worms. We want to not match their vibration by going up the emotional scale. So that's why the best way to get to where you want is by you changing your vibration, going up the emotional scale. So now this person will either disappear from your life because they can't interact with you, or they will come up the emotional scale. The only way they can stay in your life is by them also coming up to a place high on the emotional scale. And if they are able to come to a place high on the emotional scale, then guess what? They have become the perfect mate for you. They have become what you wanted them to become. And so now you have the choice. Just because they have become the person that you always wanted them to be, still does not mean that you can't make the choice to walk away from them. But isn't it better to walk away when that person is from this place? Because now when you walk away from this relationship, the next relationship that you attract is going to come to you on this vibration. So this is why Abraham explains to us over and over again that if you don't like where you are, stay there and go up the emotional scale. Don't leave, because if you leave, you take your vibration with you, and your vibration will keep attracting to you negative things. So don't leave prematurely. Stay and do some work. Go up the emotional scale, and you can still leave, because it's not like when someone is high on the emotional scale that they stop wanting variety. When you're high on the emotional scale, all right, guys, everyone who is on the Zoom call knows how much I love omelets, right? Right? I love omelets. That doesn't mean I eat omelets every day. Because people who are high on the emotional scale can make different decisions. right? So just because you're high on the emotional scale doesn't mean you're going to get stuck. You're still allowed to make different decisions. It's just that the result of those different decisions will be things that you really love and enjoy. So that's why the only thing we ever need to do is to go up the emotional scale. And that's it. That's our only job, is to go up the emotional scale, find ways to go up there, stay there. Right? All right. That brings us to the end of our book study for today. We are stopping on page 94. Oh, before I stop, I do want to read the last paragraph of this section because I love it. You know how they say the grass is always greener on the other side? Well, this paragraph is about that. Abraham says the reason why the grass always looks greener on the other side of the fence is because many people have developed very strong tendencies towards complaining about what is on their side of the fence. That's why the grass is always greener on the other side. Right? All right. And with that, I'm going to bring our book study for today to a close. We are stopping on page 94. And so we will start on page 94 because we start another topic at the bottom of that page next Thursday. In the meantime, have a super fantastic day, and I will see you next Thursday. Love you all lots. Bye for now. Bye.
Recording stopped.
All right. People on Facebook, thank you for joining. Yolanda, Tamika, good to see you guys. Love you. And I will see you tomorrow, actually, in the group. Bye for now.